Hello, my beautiful people. I saw Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania this weekend, and it was fine. It wasn't good. It wasn't bad. It was just fine. The film follows Scott after the events of Endgame, where life is going pretty well for him after saving the universe and all. He even wrote a book about it. But then things get crazy when his daughter Cassie and Hope are messing around with contacting and interacting with the quantum realm, and they all get sucked into it, and they go on a big grand adventure. Now, I liked the Ant-Man movies. I think that they're fun little pieces of MCU content that are fun little heist movies within the MCU. And Paul Rudd is always pretty charming in them. And Paul Rudd is charming in this movie, so you don't have to worry about that. And people have had their eyes on this film because, judging by the trailers, this seemed to be the dark Ant-Man movie, with the main villain being the big bad of this phase, or this era in the MCU, that being Kang the Conqueror. And Jonathan Majors as Kang is freaking amazing. He's easily the best part of the movie. He honestly saves this movie, to be honest. Because the rest of it is not that good. It's passable, but for what was promised in the trailers, it's alright. Like, the film is more focused on showing us how awesome Kang is and setting up the MCU's future, rather than just making a good Ant-Man movie. Because I saw one TikTok that said that this isn't really an Ant-Man movie, it's basically a Fantastic Four movie with the Ant-Man character just sprinkled in there. I mean, the very first variant of Kang was a Fantastic Four villain, so it makes perfect sense. I mean, for God's sake. Kang's real name is Nathaniel Richards, which is a distant relative of Reed Richards. You know, the freaking leader of the Fantastic Four. So, why wasn't this the Fantastic Four movie instead of being forced to be Ant-Man 3? Why wasn't Ant-Man 3 a more grounded story like the rest of the films? Like, imagine if a Daredevil movie was suddenly this big multiversal film. Because Kang the Conqueror isn't an Ant-Man villain. Nothing specific about the character of Kang has anything to do with Ant-Man. The Quantum Realm isn't really Ant-Man specific, so why was this an Ant-Man movie? I do not know. But it is an Ant-Man movie, we're just gonna have to live with it. And there are several aspects of it that doesn't really feel like the Ant-Man movies, like mainly the fact that the lovable cast of side characters from the previous two movies are just not in this, with the exception of a very, very, very brief cameo from Jimmy Woo at the beginning of the film. He doesn't even have a freaking line, but there's our characters from the rest of the franchise. Like Luis, like, this movie was greatly missing a wonderful Luis recap. Like, that is so bad. It's so terrible without Luis. I love you, man. You're a beautiful, beautiful being. Luis, call me. I'm single, you know? But anyway, there are certain elements from the previous movies that sorta come back, mainly due to Janet being within the quantum realm, and with Cassie following the same footsteps of her father was in the first film, even going to jail. But most of that stuff is pushed towards the beginning of the movie before they get suckered into the quantum realm, and it's just plot, 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 along with the same old standard quippy MCU humor that we've gotten to love so much. And by the fifth phase of this, I'm sure I'm sure that nobody's sick of the MCU humor at this point after 15 years. But you got a formula. Might as well stick with it. They all gotta feel like they're in the same universe after all. Now, this wasn't a bad movie to say. I'm just saying that it was a very disappointing movie. There could have been a lot more that they could have done with this film. But instead, they just chose to go the safe route. And instead just would rather focus on building up the future rather than just making a good self-contained movie. And in regard to it building up the future, it doesn't really serve a point narrative-wise. Because where we're at right now was at the exact same point we were at the end of season 1 of Loki. Kang is bad and he's coming. That's it. So this movie was inherently pointless. But as a filler movie in the MCU goes, it was fine. I can't believe this ended up breaking the MCU tradition of the third movie in a franchise being when stuff gets real. And the first movie in a MCU where the third film wasn't the best film, with the exception of Iron Man, where the first film was the best in the series. So that's just crazy in my book. But anyway, guys, I almost forgot to mention MODOK. MODOK was horribly wasted in this film. I really enjoyed the character of MODOK through all the different comics and cartoons that I've seen him in. My personal favorite things I've seen him in were, of course, the MODOK TV series, and of all things, Phineas and Ferb Mission Marvel. I really enjoyed MODOK in that, but he was so wasted in this. He served zero purpose to the plot, and without the metal mask, he's freaking hideous. I know MODOK is a very tricky character to bring into live action, but I feel like they could have done better, especially when the rest of the CGI is pretty well done. But that's just my opinion. What do you guys think of Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania? Did you like it? Did you not? Are you a little somewhere in between? Please let me know what you guys thought. Also, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and ring the bell to be notified when future videos are uploaded. But until then, I will see you later. Bye!